It's the book of Psalms, chapter 9, verse 16. The Lord is known by the judgment he executes, and the wicked is snared in the works of his own hands. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, all glory to Kohalayim, by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem, Chagados Wakatham, double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the all kingdom across the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth with faith and sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Shalom to the Akwath and the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is an edifying lesson. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the other nations, appearing like the other nations, subscribing to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. So, brother, y'all, what's up out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Shai. I came across this article on Newsbreak. I wasn't even aware of this. It says a Euclid cop killed a man who had been sleeping in his car. The cops can't be sued. The city can't be either. On March 13th, 2017, Luke Stewart was asleep in his car in Euclid, Ohio, when a man knocked on the window at 7 a.m. That man was Euclid Police Department Officer Louis Cantanelli, though he did not announce himself as a law enforcement. Now, Cantanelli sounds like a Italian name, so this could have been a Jake. I don't know. I actually went to look him up, and of course, he does. He appears like he could. He appears like Edomite, but at the same time, we know that Italians, for the most part, are Jake. You know what I mean? Sicilians rather. But you know, that's not why I really did the video. Or maybe scriptures popped in mind because of the fact of how you can't. This man was asleep. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna read some more of the article. It says, though he did not announce himself as law enforcement, startled Stewart waved before starting the car and attempting to drive away. Cantanelli and EPD officer Matthew Rhodes weren't having it. The former opened the driver's side door, reaching his right arm around Stewart's face as he tried to dig into a pressure point underneath his jaw. Stewart began to scream. The latter entered via the passenger side and sought to eject Stewart from the vehicle. Neither effort worked, and Stewart drove off the roads in tow. No, he drove off with the officer in tow. The interaction lasted between 10 to 15 seconds. What happened next was similarly short-lived, 59 seconds, and consisted of Stewart driving between 20 and 30 miles an hour while Rhodes punched him repeatedly, tased him 6 times, and hit him in the head with the taser, leaving an open wound. The minute concluded with Rhodes shooting Stewart twice in the torso, once in the neck, once in the chest, and once in the wrist. He later died. He was 23 years old. A federal court last summer agreed that a reasonable jury could find that Rhodes violated Stewart's constitutional rights when the officer shot him dead. A confrontation set in motion because Stewart had fallen asleep in his parked car. He was never told he was under arrest, nor did Rhodes ever display his badge. Yet, in the same breath, the court said that Stewart's estate may not bring their lawsuit before any such jury because Rhodes was awarded qualified immunity. The legal doctrine prohibits victims from suing government officials for violating their rights unless the precise manner in which those rights were violated has been spelled out as unconstitutional in a prior court ruling. Though it sounds farcical, that I can't pronounce that farcical, that's not at all a surprising outcome. Yet there is a shocking part of the decision. Yet there's a wow, this ain't even uploading. Okay, Salakia. Yet there is a shocking part of the decision handed down in August by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. They also shielded the municipality from the lawsuit on the grounds that the officer was protected by qualified immunity, something the U.S. Supreme Court specifically ruled against in Owen v. City of Independence. So, if you want to read more of this, you can. I'm familiar with the city of Euclid. We stay in Cleveland. That's like maybe 20 minutes away from, the city of Euclid. And, it's nothing but Edomites out there, and it has a known, it's always had a history of racism. It might be a few Jake officers on there, but for the most part, it's Edomites. And, it just made me think of a few different scriptures, about how, they oppress the poor. And, the obviously the man is a Jake. I looked at his picture. He was a Jake. And like I said, this officer, the very officer that shot him could have been a Jake. But, it's not necessarily the Esau against Jacob thing, because ultimately it was judgment. That's why I came out with the scripture in the book of Psalms. The Lord is known by the judges judgment that he executed. And that's how I knew it was spiritual, this will of the Lord. This man was asleep. You should, for you to be asleep and you to literally get shot to death, that was judgment of the Lord. But to show you how this place truly is oppressing, they're not in trouble as other men. You know what I mean? Just these people that's part of the system. This book of Psalms, chapter 73, verse, I'm going to start at verse 5. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. These Edomites, even in the lowest state, aren't as trouble as other men. I always bring up the fact that when I was homeless, you would see a nasty, filthy ass Edomite talking about eating out the trash can, dirty as fuck, stinking, and was more privileged. He'd go into this suitcase. So like it says, for there are no bands in the deaf, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than their heart can desire. Now let's talk about Esau. You know what I mean? Like I said, brothers always bring up the fact, a lot of brothers was in like some kind of delivery jobs or whatnot. And they'd go to these different estates and these communities, gated communities of Esau. And they like Esau living good. One of the brothers, he worked at a restaurant. He does a lot of deliveries. He like shit. He pulling up in these Edomites houses where they got heated garages and heated driveways and shit, where the snow literally never sits and melts on their. It melts on their driveway. It says, but the point is, they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak lawfully. They like that's some corrupt ass shit. That you killed this man, violated his rights because based on your system, you have to tell you. I noticed that lately they don't even read you your rights. You're supposed to be read your rights and told the purpose of why you're going to jail. I was just talking to a lawyer. This motherfucker say that they literally don't even do preliminary hearings anymore. And I'm looking at him, he looking at me like I'm just goofy. That's part of your right. You need to, like that's part of their system. That shit just made me mad. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 106, verse 3. Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. And these Edomites and these people that work for the system don't keep the judgment of the Lord. They don't judge by the scriptures. They judge by this fucking Edomites laws and whatnot and statutes. You know what I mean? These people are the people that give fucking homosexuals rights. You know what I mean? Like, come on. I'm about to die. So like it. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 10, starting at verse, I'm going to start at verse 2. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. And you know what I mean? Like that whole, police department, the Euclid, the police department. Because like I said, they're going to be a terror onto Jake in that day. You know what I mean? Like right now, that was always considered the suburbs. A lot of Jakes, me, myself, is one of them who didn't want to go out in Euclid because I'm sure Jakes are familiar with this story. You've been in a certain neighborhood of Esau and they ask you why you here, or you could just feel the vibration of they don't like your kind type shit. And that's how Euclid used to be. But what they did was they start like allowing like public housing out there. So now you got more Jakes out there, but you got this racist ass police force out there. A lot of the people that was from East Cleveland, which is the real heart of the ghetto. But I'm gonna give you a piece of history if you didn't know. East Cleveland is the worst of the worst of ghettos. You know what I mean? Like I ain't gonna say the worst of the worst because I haven't experienced all the ghettos. And then you got some countries that got some really horrible ghettos. But what I'm saying is it's a really fucked up spot. But the point is that was where Rockefeller actually lived. Like that's where Standard Oil was. Like right. And it always makes me wonder if East Cleveland is so decrepit now, what wickedness did they do out there then? Verse 3, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire and blesseth the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth. Yeah, they think that's, it said the wicked bless, or they think that's a blessing to covet. The Lord hates a coveted person. You know what I mean? So you have freely received, so you're supposed to freely give. All those camps that literally want to, I mean, I'm digressing a little bit because I'm talking about this, we talking about covenant this as far as physical goods, but like these camps that charge you for breakdowns and for the scriptures. Like, you know how wicked that is? You got it for free, so how could you possibly charge somebody? And that's with anything else, with these stimmy checks. If the Lord blessed you with a stimulus check, you're supposed to bless other people with it. Yeah, you're supposed to take care of yourself first and foremost and your family, but at the same time, it's just, and that's all the mindset of Esau. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. This is the point, verse 5. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. And he puffeth at Jake. Esau, the average Edomite. I just literally went to a lawyer. This motherfucker try to make a joke. And I caught the joke he making, trying to make it at my expense, though. And normally, like I said, the Lord really it's a humbling experience to try to be humble. You get what I'm saying? It's one thing for some shit to go over your head, but then it's a whole totally different thing to actually catch a motherfucker trying to be smart or slick and literally just holding yourself back from actually reacting. That's a hell of a thing. You know what I mean? That's the true nature of humble. You know what I mean? Like how Yahweh Shah was. Yahweh Shah said, you don't think I could call down, I forgot how many legions of angels, but he said a certain amount of legions of angels. And a legion is what, like 5,000? He had the power to get himself down off the cross and didn't. I got one last scripture and I'm going to end it. It's the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 8. If thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. So the point is, you got the Most High put these Edomites in power, and they, basically, they in rulership right now. And it tells you to live with peaceful with all man, and yada yada. Well, not yada yada yada, but live peaceful with all man, and like the book of Romans chapter 13 talks about, basically the governing bodies like to basically, let me get it. Talks about the government bodies, though. What is that? Why are they doing it? Respect those in rulership, I think, or something along the lines of that. It's Romans 13. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of Yahweh. The powers that are ordained of Yahweh. So Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, put these people in position and gave them rulership. So it said, let every soul be of subjection, be subject to them. So you got laws in this society, you're supposed to obey them. Now it's when the laws that they're going to try to implement that's cutting or trying to go against the scriptures, that's when you're supposed to actually rebel, and that's when you're going to get persecuted. It's going to quickly be a crime to read the Bible. I'm watching that the last few times I went to jail. They basically, is no Bibles in there. So back in Ecclesiastes, where it said, a ruler, it said about how it's a higher power over them as well. So, these devils, the Euclid Police Department, that's literally, that family should have got compensated for that. I can see if he did something dangerous, but if you woke this man, they literally tell you not to wake a person up about they sleep like that because you could startle them. You don't know what they was thinking. You don't know how they can react. And these people are not going to be able to get sued? Like, come on, get the fuck out of here. It says, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. So meaning the Most High put them in power, and at the end of the day, the Lord is the authority over them. They're going to get judged for that wicked ass shit. So if you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, because he's going to let this devil turn up more and more as things wax worse and worse, and and iniquity abound. On top of the fact that he knows that he have a short time, so he gonna come around with great wrath. So for you to avoid that, if it's the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, if you destined to avoid it, you need to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because that's the only way you're gonna escape. It tells you in the book of Romans that Esau is the Most High sword on the left hand side. to bring judgment to Jake. And that man got judged. But yeah, still though, like I said, at the end of the day, to get killed like that and not they're not liable at all, this place gotta go. And that's why we need deliverance. So with that, I'm going to end the lesson. Lord willingly was edified. If you are so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, commandments of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, or be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to Kohaloyim, La Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim, Rachakadas Wakatam. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth with faith and sincerity, and risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Shalom to the Akwat and the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is an edifying video. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time, I'm able to come with another lesson. Shalom, shalom. Shalom.